Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Raise the Vibe with Liz. I'm your host, Liz Peterson, and today Robin Black is joining me for this recording. I'm super excited to have her. We did a pod swap together. So I'm really ready to dive into what Robin is all about, her energy healing and her psychology empath. Not to mention, I've been listening to her podcast, I've been listening to her messages, her empowering poetry and spoken word. And there's definitely a backstory there. So we're going to start off with that as well. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with Robin Black, host of It's About Healing podcast, is dedicated to guiding its listeners towards self discovery and finding peace of mind. Robin places a strong emphasis on mental health and aims to provide a platform for individuals to share their voices while gaining a better understanding of the energy they emit and addressing energy blockages. As a certified spiritual counselor and psychology empath, Robin invites guests to participate in meaningful discussions about their experiences. She started her podcast because she suffered from past traumas and she has many stories. However, she no longer wanted to be crippled by fear, the fear of what others would think or the fear of no one believing her. She stopped caring and decided to be that voice for others and impact the lives of others who are afraid. Hopefully, listening to her through her poetry, spoken word, or simply sharing her personal story will uplift others and help reduce the pain we hide internally. That's so beautiful, Robin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's good seeing you again.
Good seeing you too. Good. So, as promised, let's jump right into it. I know there's a backstory there, and you've made
Mhm.
it your purpose and your passion, which I think is really beautiful. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and what led to doing what you do today.
Well, the past trauma, definitely the childhood trauma, and even the trauma that I experienced as an adult. Um, it's when we're just walking around in this world, just internalizing so much fear, and we don't even realize that sometimes that we're internalizing that fear. But I growing up and going through all this trauma that I've experienced, it allowed me to see that I wasn't allowing my voice to be heard. I would just let people, I was kind of passive and just letting people just kind of beat up on me, basically, not physically, but that like becoming someone's punching bag and just taking it and taking it and taking it until it just completely crushed my soul all the way. And I think that was a relationship that I was in that kind of really did the full number, that kind of put the icing on the cake. But after that, I was able to see like I don't want to just constantly keep dimming my light. I want my voice to be heard. I want people to see what I have been through, and through all my adversity is what gave birth to my purpose. So
Nice. I like that. So, a lot of women, especially, experience that not having a voice from the way that we were raised or the way society is. Where I've said that this multiple times, where it's that like, just be there, don't have a voice, go with what is.
mhm.
How did you find your voice?
Just being tired, being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I just woke up one day and it's that intuitive voice, that was telling me just start a podcast, because I knew nothing about podcasting. I just started this in June last year. And when I tell you I do nothing, like I'm not tech savvy, there is literally nothing. But like the angels were just talking to me, the universe was just saying, just do it, just get on there, do it. I didn't know how to do it. I would watch a YouTube video to see how to start it, and then I just started talking, and I was channeling so much from them telling me exactly what to say. Like none of this, the poetry, the spoken word, it's all them. I've just become that channel to help others.
How did you realize you were that channel for the angels, for spirit, for source?
Just through visions and signs and synchronicities, but I get visions like constantly, and I've even heard God's voice audibly, and it's the most beautiful thing because it comes internally. It's like you feel it, you hear him inside, even though it's I don't know how to explain it, but it's the most beautiful thing that you'll ever experience. But I started realizing that I was forced into isolation. I couldn't find a job. I quit my job where I was going through all that trauma. And once I left, I couldn't find anything else. And I was like, what is going on? I have all the skill set. I'm not understanding why I'm not finding anything. But it finally made me realize, okay, I started going on YouTube and things, I was just being guided to different things. The the birds, the flowers, the butterflies, they were following me. And I was like, what is going on? This is just so unusual. And then I just intuitively started being guided towards, do your research, start searching this up. And the more I started looking, the more I started realizing how in tune I actually am with the universe. And I realized I'm on a spiritual awakening journey. So
I love
it's
that.
been
Oh,
fun.
I have goosebumps. I love every part of that. I love how you followed your intuition, how you noticed all the coincidences and the synchronicities and the birds and the butterflies. I love those from our
Yes.
conversation. And like God was talking to you. I think that's beautiful. I think when we can stop and pause and really start
Mhm.
paying attention, we too can see
Yes.
like we are in this symbiotic relationship with the higher power creating our lives. And how beautiful that all of your trauma, I'm sorry that you experienced it, but instead of letting it pull you down, like I was saying before the show, you you let it
Yeah.
ignite your survival offensive. And
Absolutely.
that I have goosebumps again is amazing because so often we can allow our external circumstances to pull us down. What do you
Yes.
think it was that really ignited that, not just survive, but thrive mentality?
It was realizing that when you're in the midst of recovery, when you feel like a victim, you admit that. You know what I mean? Anything that you feel, that's exactly what you're going to attract. If I have this victim mentality, I am the victim. I become that victim. And then that, hey, I don't have to be ashamed to be a survivor either, to be a survivor of my trauma. Being a survivor is an honor. And once I realized my story and what happened to me, there's nothing to be ashamed of. This happened to me for a reason. It didn't happen to me, it happened for me. And it's for others. Sometimes we have to suffer, but we suffer to tell our story for others to know how to relate and say, oh, okay, well, if she went through it, I'm not alone. And that's how we start impacting and uplifting others.
Yes. Yes. And I love what you said. Things happened for me.
Hmm.
That is gold right there.
Yes.
It's not
Yes,
to
it
me,
is.
it's for me. And what lesson can I receive from this to be able to move forward in my life, for
Hmm.
that like personal development, for that personal growth. So that shift in perspective, what do you tell, because you work with people, you're an energy healer, you're a psychology empath, which I want to get into eventually also. How do
Yes.
you work with people to help them to realize or shift their perspective to life is happening for me?
More so, they have to be open. It's all about energy. We all are energy, and getting others to understand that first is like the first priority. Is you have to be open, because a lot of people, as a psychology empath is someone who feels more empathy than the average human, basically. So we all have that intuitive guidance, but it's amplified in some of us, and that is me. I am certified in that, but it's more a spiritual gift as well. I can feel what others are feeling. I just pretty much almost know what they're thinking as well when they're open to it, especially their past traumas, because that's so much of what we try to internalize. I feel that. So I get really, really tired and worn out because I pick up on so many different people's energies around me. It's kind of hard to maneuver, but I was able to learn how to control that and control that energy and kind of come back in and start grounding myself. So that way I don't keep constantly moving out of alignment because of other people's vibrations. But that's more so, I don't remember what the question was. I kind of went off on a tangent.
That was
What was the
awesome.
question?
It was so good. Inspiring others to realize that perspective that life is happening to us for us.
Yes, yes, uh-huh. Yes, that's basically it, is because all these things that happen, you think, why me? That's what we always think. Every last one of us are always thinking, why me? Why does this happen to me? And we always look outward, just like where they say you got to leave the past in the past. But that's the thing. Sometimes we're like, I've healed, I've forgiven everybody else, I've done this, I've done that. What else am I doing? It's us. We're living in the past on us. Like, I remember with me, I struggled with weight a lot. I still do. And I lived in the past, like, man, I remember when I used to be that size. I remember when I used to be able to do this. I used to be able to go out and do a cartwheel. I used to be able to do all these things. And I constantly keep replaying that. That's living in the past. So you're going to keep vibrating in that vibration of lack. And that's where it's like, this isn't happening to me. This is happening for me because I've had this issue with weight. I didn't like what I was seeing. Therefore, they're going to keep putting this weight on me until I realize I have to love myself. I can't keep living in the past and not paying attention to who I am today, what I am today. I'm still beautiful. I'm still able to do things because I'm here. That's what it's about. This is happening to me, or this is happening for me and not to me. It's a better understanding, anyways.
Oh, I love that too. I was just listening to a talk earlier by Guy Finley, who I've interviewed a couple of times. He's a spiritual teacher down in Oregon. And he was talking about this very thing where we focus on our imperfections and the things. And that's where our energy goes. And then that's where our
Yeah.
energy is flowing to. And then we're actually magnetizing that back into our
Yes.
lives again. And I've talked about this too. And I like how you like name it. And, from your past trauma, you're like, holding yourself and everybody else accountable by like doing this work. So
Yeah.
where was I going with that? I kind of lost it. But you know how do we come to that point to where we are, how do I want to say this, not allowing ourselves to get hooked into what we don't want, but to choose what we do want and what we do want to manifest for ourselves and magnetize to ourselves.
It's the art of manifestation. That's the whole thing. Like, the way I see it, the analogy that I could put it in is, it's kind of like when I used to sell timeshares. Timeshares, you have to trade this for that. You say, what amenities are you looking for? Because they'll want, a timeshare in Maui or a timeshare in Branson, Missouri for a timeshare in Maui. And you're like, that doesn't equal that you're not gonna get that because you don't have enough value. With enough value, it's not gonna equal itself out. But what amenities are you looking for? You say, I want to go dig for seashells on the beach. I want a kitchen in my hotel room, and I want an ocean view. I can give you that, but I can't give you that in Maui, but I can give you that in Myrtle Beach. And you say, well, I don't want that. But then that's what the universe is saying. You told me what you wanted. If you told me what you wanted, you have to manifest what you are. This is what you are. This is what you're emitting out into the universe. You can say what you want all day, but if that's not who you are, you're not going to attract that. That's why when I say you want to attract abundance, that's what most people think manifestation is all about, is abundance, but it's not. It's so much more than that. You say you want to be married. You have to start moving in the vibration of that. It's all in your mindset. You have to be able to know who you are and how to move in that art of manifestation. That way you can manifest what it is that you want. If you tell the universe, this is what I want, they're going to test you and see, okay, is this really what you want? Because we're giving it to you. It's just not looking the way that you think it should look, but you have to know and be in tune, in alignment with knowing, this is what the universe is telling me. They have this for me. I know I'm ready. It's coming.
Nice. I love that. That's so true. And I love how you work with the manifestation process. And I love how you pointed out that it's like who you are is what you are going to get, right? We might have
Yes.
this idea like, I want this over here, but my
Mhm.
energy system may only be able to handle this over here, but it's exactly what I needed in the moment,
Yeah.
to serve where I am in this moment of time,
Yes.
right?
Exactly. Exactly it. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. Because even I have had to struggle with that when I wasn't fully understanding, because it's very hard, because healing, there's nothing linear about healing. So when you think that you're going, you still fall on your own thought process instead of realizing, okay, it's not really just me. I have to basically flow with the universe as well and not keep trying to cause that resistance. We cause a lot of resistance unknowingly.
You work with that too. You work with those
Mhm.
blockages, with those
Yes,
limiting beliefs, because it is those beliefs that can hold us back, those beliefs about
absolutely.
ourselves, those beliefs about how our environment works or how society works can really get in the way of what we want to create for ourselves.
Exactly. It's about knowing what's a distraction and what isn't, because you're going to run across a lot of distractions, and they're meant to be a distraction, so it pulls you out of alignment. So it's like you really have to focus and keep staying in alignment, staying in tune, like I said, with outside, with Mother Earth, the rainbows, the the rain, any element. You have to really focus on that and open yourself to it. Otherwise, you will miss it. It'll be kind of like our own faults for missing it because of the distractions.
Yeah, we're even like thinking about one thing, but those distractions are so true. I was just talking about this on a walk yesterday that sometimes the universe is like, okay, you want this thing, but I'm going to send you this other thing to see if you really
Yes.
want it. It's like a test. Like, are you going to choose this or are you going to say
Yep.
no?
Exactly. And that's what sucks. Like, because it's like, I know this is probably a test. And you're like, dang it, but this seems so good right now because this
Yep.
is what I've been wanting. This is what I've been missing. So it makes you, it's that hunger, but it's the wrong type of hunger. You're hungry because you're missing it. You're lacking this. So you have this hunger, but they're like, hey, they're testing you to see if you have the hunger to keep waiting, even though this is in front of your face, but this isn't exactly what I want you to have. But you got to kind of discern which hunger is which one's the good hunger, which one's the bad hunger.
Oh, I love that because we have that hunger, we have that desire, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it ticks this many boxes, but I was really wanting like these boxes tick
Yes.
too. So,
Exactly. That's exactly it.
and it's one of those situations that you're talking about. It's like, okay, I see that and I see you and I see what you're trying to do. Like you're
Yeah.
testing me right now, but no, it's like, okay, this or better. Like, yes
Yes.
to this,
Exactly.
and I'm going to focus on those positive things and not the negative things you also wrapped up in that gift, right?
Exactly.
But I'm
Exactly.
like, okay, no, that and better.
Exactly. And it's like it just takes a little bit more time. And that's the thing that, it's like the universe works outside of time. We have to pass through time. And that's the part that is just like, I don't want to do this. I want it and I want it now. And that's the part that sucks. But once we get over that hurdle, and that's a hurdle that we have to get over every single day because it's going to come up every day.
Yeah, especially for empaths and intuitives because we want to know now. We want
Yeah.
it now. We know it's possible. Like we can do instant manifestation, right? I can have
Yes.
this. Why do I have to wait? Why do I have to have that pause button, right? And it's like,
Exactly. And as intuitives, it's hard because we can foresee so much in the future. Sometimes we fall into forecasting, which we shouldn't do, but it's like we live too far in the present instead of, or live too far in the future instead of living in the present, and the present starts passing us by. So we have to slow down and just be like, okay, you just breathe for a minute, and I just gotta wait because I know it's coming because I can see it, and I know that you guys have been telling me that it's coming, whether it's through visions or whatever. But I have to just wait. And that's the part, is just patience. Patience is huge.
I love that you say that too, being patient, because we do always future seek. And,
Yes.
like seeking out to the future, like what's my future going to be? And always like having our energy there, having our vision there. But what we fail like in those moments is like, but I'm in the process right now. This is that sweet, juicy spot of
Yeah.
manifesting what's down the road and
Yeah.
be in this moment and watch how it unfolds and how the little things
Yes.
come to me and how
Yeah.
each little puzzle piece has to be in place for me to get there. Like enjoy the process,
Absolutely. And
right?
that's the part that's hard. Yeah. Yeah. But once you start learning how to just enjoy how it goes, even through tower moments, when you have unexpected things happen, unexpected negative things that happen, it's like you still have to enjoy knowing, like, okay, this is supposed to happen. How am I supposed to get through this and why? Because it's about the lessons that we have to apply. That way, when the manifestations start coming, the blessings start coming, you'll know how to handle them. And it's like you have a better understanding when you realize, now I know how to handle it. So it's like, ugh, just gotta wait, wait for the understanding to sink in.
Wow, that's real too. I had to learn that in order to be where I need to be.
Yeah.
And I love
Yeah.
how you use tower moments.
Hmm.
Oh, that's huge.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Because they are. That brings me to the tarot, like the
Hmm.
tower card in the tarot.
Mhm. Yeah. And most people are afraid of that. It's like that where they get that they always think that spirituality is so demonic, but people, it's not for everyone. And I completely totally get that. But it's like even getting the devil card, and the devil card and the tower card, people are like, oh no, my life is over. And it's like, no, it just means something's ending, right? And it needed to end. And that tower moment can be a good tower moment or a bad tower moment. That's why you have to just flow with that energy and not tense up and immediately start inflicting fear, because they're like, now something bad's gonna happen to me. And that's where you don't want to go. And trying to tell my clients that's the trouble that they have most often, is that inflicting of fear. They're always like living in constant fear.
Oh, I like that. How do you work with your clients to turn off that fear when they're going through those initiation processes, when they've like gotten that devil card in life or that tower moment in life where, they're facing hardship and, there's a lot of fear that, steps in when we're in hardship. How do you like work with your clients to like flip that switch and come out of their fear?
Constant, like journaling. I always tell them to journal what you're feeling or record yourself on what you're feeling, whether you're just having a regular day or if it's sadness that you're feeling. Record yourself and then listen to yourself 2 or 3 days later, or even a week later, and listen. Because once you listen, you start being able to heal yourself, because you're comforting yourself. You're like, why was I thinking that way? That doesn't even make any sense. Why would I ever think that? And you start looking at yourself, and it's like now you start seeing the things that aren't in alignment within yourself. I don't want to say things that are wrong. It's just you're out of alignment. You're kind of out of whack right now, and you need to kind of get back in alignment. And the best way to do that is to record yourself or journal and then read back, kind of go back to what you were thinking of. Then that way you can see where you made mistakes or errors and just kind of correct it.
Oh, I love that. That deep
Mhm.
dive into like what we're
Yeah.
doing, what are our shadows,
Yes.
what was my lesson in this? And then that brings you to what you were talking about before, or what we were talking about before, like removing those beliefs, removing those limited beliefs, removing those fears so we can manifest or bring in that abundance, to
Mhm.
ourselves again,
Yes.
like
Yes.
pushing through
And
those blocks
realizing,
that you talk about.
yeah, and realizing that I can obtain what it is that I desire. That's where we often, well, that's why we don't manifest a lot of things that we want, because we still internally have, even probably subconsciously, have that feeling of, I know I'm not going to reach this. I'm not going to get to it. And that's why you don't get it, is because subconsciously you're still like, I know that's out of my reach. I know I can't get it.
Ooh,
And that's what that internal voice always lies to us and tells us that we can't get something. And that's what it's hard trying to turn that off, but it's a process.
no, that's self-doubt, right?
Hmm.
Oh, it gets in the way
Yes,
so much. It's that negative thinking patterns,
yes,
and those are blockages too. I want to
exactly.
show you, I pulled a card
Uh-huh.
before our recording, and it's the Eight of Pentacles reverse for those who are watching on YouTube. And I
Uh-huh.
just want to point this out because it is so on point with what we're talking about today. So the Eight of Pentacles reverse is focusing on that self-improvement and self-development and being, highly focused and understanding your inner beliefs and your behaviors and being dedicated to becoming the best version of yourself. And I think
Hmm.
that's what we're talking about right now. And that's
Yes.
what you do is you're like, I am thriving. Yes, I
Hmm.
had this in my past, but I am not only choosing to survive, but I'm going to thrive after this. And I'm going
Absolutely.
to use or put out everything that I have learned through my experiences to help others. And then
Yes.
you completely stepped into your passion and your purpose in life. And you're so aligned with source and spirit in it, where like you
Yes.
just emanate that you are co creating with the divine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's like the best part. That's where you gain this energy. When we're always feeling low energy and just tired and fatigued, it's also because we're out of alignment. It could be other health reasons, obviously, but it's also because we're out of alignment. There's so much resistance. And there's just so many things that I've learned on this spiritual journey. It's just like, especially the dark night of the soul. It is just not fun. Like it is very painful, and it feels like it goes on forever and it sneaks back up on you. But you learn to navigate through all of it, and that's what it's really all about.
For people who are in that dark night of the soul right now and they're just like in it, and
Uh-huh.
they're like, okay, how do I pull myself out of this? Like, what do I do to embrace this spiritual awakening and pull myself out of the darkness? What would be your recommendations?
My recommendation for my clients that are like that is to do your research. Anything that's happening, if you're noticing certain synchronicities and numbers, if they're more so, hey, I'm more of a Bible reader. Okay, go to that scripture then. Go just type in 3-33 Bible and see what comes up. Whatever resonates with them, because I never, you know what I mean? I want to be there for whoever believe all your beliefs. I'm never here to disregard anyone's beliefs. So
Love that.
I always tell them, whatever's following you, whatever resonates with you, that's what you have to keep researching. That way you're being pulled more to an alignment with source. That way it's like you're listening to source. Once you start listening to source and you're doing where they're pulling you, you're going where they're pulling you, that's what pulls you out of that dark night of the soul, is because now you're pulling in more light. It's like that lighthouse. When you're on rough waters, the ships that are on rough waters, they see that lighthouse and then they're like, there it is. There's hope. It's like your hope starts to become restored the more you start following and coming in alignment with what source is trying to tell you.
Yeah, when you see that lighthouse, man, that sigh, that how you can just feel it in your nervous system just relax as you're like, oh, there is a light
Yeah.
at the end of the tunnel. There is that lighthouse. I am not alone. Like, I
Yeah.
am doing this and I am going to be okay. It's like finally realizing when I was going through mine, I had this pendant that I wore and then I hung it in the bathroom. And it's like, this too shall
Uh-huh.
pass became one of my
Yeah.
mantras. It's just that hope. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, this is going to pass. I've got to get through this and I've got to see what I'm going through and I've got to like do my work to become the person
Mhm.
that I want to be. So I don't do that again or get in that
Yes.
situation again. And I can manifest or magnetize to myself something that's the opposite of that. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
it's that hope
Exactly.
that you're talking about. And it
Yes.
does, it starts with those like the angel numbers. Like before our
Uh-huh.
recording, I saw 1212,
Yes, I've been
on the
seeing that
clock.
a lot too. Yes.
And it was so awesome. And I went to take a picture of it and went away. I'm like, dang it, I wanted to post that because I know that that was part of it. Because it's
Yes.
like that 1212 is we're ready to step out of our comfort zones, right? And,
Yes.
push through the, and manifest our goals,
Yeah, and
which
that's
is
so
what
funny
we
that you
want to
said
do.
that. We always have that connection because I promise you I have that picture on my phone right now because I
That's
saw
awesome.
1212. And then I've been seeing 111, 222, 333, 444, and it's just been constant. And I'm like, okay, what's the universe telling me now? And it's just like I could just tell. And that's when you have to kind of get in that isolation and kind of sit by yourself and just let it flow, let it come to you.
Yes. Good thing to point
Uh,
out because it is a flow. Like it's watching it. It's like, oh, I saw that. What does that mean? Oh,
right.
like you were going through your spiritual awakening. Like that can be a sign for others that they're going through that spiritual awakening. And then them thinking, like, what does that mean? Like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm
Yeah.
going to Google that. And,
Uh-huh.
oh,
Yes.
sources trying to get my attention. The
Yep.
other side wants me to know, like, it's not just me, and
Yes.
that's, going back to that I'm not alone and that
Exactly. You're
co-creation
never
that you were
alone.
talking about. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we're never alone. And that was the hardest part for me is especially when we're in that I'm feeling lonely state of mind, it's like you go down that rabbit hole that it just takes you deeper and deeper when loneliness sets in because then the depression sets in, it follows behind it, and it's like no, you have to realize that you're never alone, and that's when the universe is talking to you the most is when you're feeling alone. That's when you're going to honestly see 444. That's how you really know the angels are with you right now. They're giving you this great big old hug when you constantly keep seeing 444. It's like they know that you're feeling lonely and they're just giving you that sense of comfort and love, letting you know we are here. You just have to listen to us, and come in. And that's more so about this journey is knowing when to start doing your research. Because I can tell people all day long, hey, 111 means this, and the three threes mean this, 7 7 means this. However, it may not mean that for them. They have to do the research. That's why we are guides. We can't just tell you any answer. And I tell everyone that is I will never be able to give you a definite answer at all. It's something that you have to find because it's already in you and it just has to come out. I just guide you on how to find that answer and that understanding for yourself.
Oh, I love that so much too. You're empowering others to seek out their own information because what
Yes.
we could tell them,
Hmm.
right, could be totally different from when they read something and then they have their aha moment about what it means to them,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yes. And that's where so many people are like, just tell me the answer so then I'll know. And we think that that's going to be better. And they're like, I just don't want to think about it anymore. Just tell me the answer. And that's, I get that a lot. A lot of my clients are just like, just tell me what I need to do. And I have to be like, no, it doesn't work that way. And then some of them get upset with me, some of them don't. But that's where it's like, I don't know. You can look this up and you might find something that I don't. I've been seeing like white hummingbirds, white giraffes, white cranes.
Wow.
And I'm like, I didn't even know that there was a white hummingbird. It's like this stuff is phenomenal, the things that I've been seeing. And it's just so exciting and how the universe, like, they love how excited we get when we see these things. And it's like, gratitude is the ultimate answer, honestly. That's what I always tell my clients is the one answer I can give you is to always have gratitude. Always just say thank you. Just thank them for absolutely everything. It's like giving me chills right now. It's like I know spirit's here. So it's so amazing. It's just such an amazing feeling.
It is. I can feel it too. It's lovely. And I love how you brought up like all of those images too. And no lie, you and I are kind of in sync, with all
Yeah.
of this. I wrote not last week, but the week before about the white buffalo. I had had this dream,
Uh-huh.
look at the buffalo in the sky, and I'm like Googling, like, what's the white buffalo woman, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Stag comes up, after that.
I've been getting stag.
God,
Yes.
yes. And
Yes.
stag energy on my hike yesterday,
Uh-huh.
the stag was totally there in the
Yeah.
forest with us, not physically, spiritually
Uh-huh.
speaking,
Yes.
right? It was
Yes.
really powerful, really
Yeah, because the
powerful how it
stag is
shows
it's
up.
all about the antlers, right? About the
Yeah.
intuition, right? So yeah,
Yes.
that is so amazing.
Yes. And that's what we're talking about today is
Yeah.
you followed your intuition. You
Yeah.
followed your angels. You followed your guides. You listened to God speaking to you. You channel
Yeah.
that information. And whenever we open up to channel, that's exactly what needs to be
Mhm.
heard. Like when I light the candle and I go, angels and guides, please channel through Robin and I what needs to be heard today.
Yes,
Right?
exactly. Especially the white, because I have never seen a white giraffe or a white hummingbird. And I'm
Me
like,
either.
and then I saw the white peacock as well. It's like they're
Wow.
all white. It's like, what does that mean? So I had to really do some research. Yeah.
The energy is really next level these days. Everything is going so fast. I think it's constant, like information about the world is shifting, consciousness
Yes,
is shifting, and
absolutely.
all of these things that our ancestors wrote about are coming to
Mhm.
fruition,
Yes. Yes,
and
it is.
these are the signs. Like the time is
Yes.
now,
Yes,
right?
exactly. It definitely is, and I feel like all these seeds that a lot of people are sowing, this is harvest time. It really is. Like September and October are just high time. This fall is gonna be big, and I know it is. I know this fall, a lot's gonna happen in the fall.
Yeah, I'm feeling it too. I get
Yeah.
tingles right now just thinking about
Yeah.
it. And the journey is like through you and your clients is doing the inner work.
Yes. Yes. That's it. And it just never stops. Never stop doing that inner healing.
Yes. So somebody who wants to like get in touch with you or do that inner healing, or, they're in the dark night of the soul, they're, listening to this and they're like, okay, I'm going to do that gratitude practice that Robin was talking about. What
Mhm.
tips and tools and techniques can our listeners do to kind of step into this way of being?
That would be just to get in a quiet space, just and allow source to come in. And you'll know because it's like when silence seems loud, that's how you know that's not source. Because those are your negative thoughts, right? We don't want our negative thoughts to start manifesting themselves. Get to a quiet place where it's peaceful. When you finally feel at peace, whether you're listening to meditate, you start meditating, you get into that kind of that trance state. That's when it's going to come in through your thoughts. So many answers and understanding is going to come in is when you get quiet. You start giving thanks, however, whatever resonates for them to start meditation, whether it's through gratitude, whether it's through getting quiet, whether it's through putting on some relaxation music, just get to a relaxation mode. Even I tell people when you're in your car, you're most relaxed when you're in your car. A lot is going to come to you while you're driving because you're focused on driving. Your mind's not anywhere else really, typically. So a lot's going to come to you when you're driving. Go for a drive, go for a night drive, roll the windows down. Allow the earth elements to come in and you start, it's like, okay, now I get it. Now I understand when it's source and when it's something negative. Now I understand. And that's what I tell everyone. And they really love it because it works.
I love that. And it does
Yeah.
work. Okay.
Yes.
Everybody who's listening today, Robin is 100% correct. Go get in your car and drive. I get my best intuitions while I'm driving.
Yes.
It was
Uh-huh.
when I was driving that I heard Source say, "Are you ready?" Like at the end of 2017 before the shit hit the fan.
Uh-huh.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I should have asked more questions. I think I always joke about that. I'm like, yes, I am ready.
I should have
Okay,
asked
your
more
entire life
questions.
has to fall apart first.
Yes, exactly. And I went through that. I had to get over this fire, losing my house, not having a job. I mean, it was hard. And I'm finally
Wow.
getting back up together. And it's just like sometimes we're going through our crushing seasons, but even in the midst of our crushing seasons, that's when we pour out to others and uplift others, and it's source who fills our cup. And we can't fill our own cup sometimes. We have to look for them to feel it, to fill it.
Wow. That's so true. And yet
Yeah.
another, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of awestruck
Uh-huh.
because I was not aware that you had a house fire. I'm really
Oh,
sorry. It's devastating. I had a
oh,
house fire in 2011.
really?
Was, yeah, one of my tower moments
Yeah.
of looking at my life,
Hmm.
and saying, what's important?
Yeah.
What's
Yep.
important to me right now? Am I going to move forward with this thing? Am I going to stay in it? What's my life looking like? What do I want to bring through? It did take me a couple more years and a couple more kicks in the butt to
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
make a lot of really big changes.
Hmm.
But yeah, those
Yeah.
tower moments, those house fires or those divorces or those relationships, abusive relationships
Yes.
crumbling or whatever they are, like
Yeah.
those are those moments that are like, are you going to choose you?
Yes.
Are you
That's
going to
it.
choose your life? Are you
Yes.
going to realize that this actually happened for you
Yes.
instead of like just being like, oh my God, I just lost
Yes.
something. Yeah. And we can do that. Like our human self gets to do that, right? It gets to have that pity
Yeah.
party for a while, but then we're like, okay,
Yeah.
back to work. Like, what did that
Exactly.
mean? Why did that happen? Because our human self is also like looking for the why, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That is dead on. We're always looking for the why, and it's always like that. This is the end all be all. Feeling like my life is just over. I guess I'll just accept it. And it's like trying to keep going from that because the fire happened in February and it was so hard, like going in and out of hotels, staying with family. I had to do that for 5 months. And that was like the worst 5 months of my life. But I had to still uplift my children. I had to be strong for them. But I had to also realize that they're my strength as well. They lift me up. I can't always put on this armor of perfection. It's like you have to also let them see you, let the whole world see you. It's like, you know what? With proper discernment, I still have to be vulnerable. And I remember crying in front of my kids and they gave me the hug. And it was like they needed to see that I can't always be strong, but I still am. That doesn't mean that I'm not strong. It just means that I'm still human, and I had to accept that.
And what a beautiful example to your children of we get to have those moments. We get to grieve the
Yes.
loss, and
Yeah.
then they see you doing it, and they're gifted the skill to
Yeah.
be able to grieve that loss as well. It's okay, to
Yeah.
feel that loss. It's okay
Yeah.
to feel our feelings.
Absolutely. And it's something that's needed. You have to feel those feelings. Otherwise, it's like a trash can, where you stuff down a trash can so much, it's eventually going to overflow. And you don't know how you're going to react when you're just ready to pop. If you keep just stuffing your feelings, it's like definitely allow yourself to feel your feelings.
Yeah. What would you tell somebody? It's so fresh for you still right now, that
Okay.
devastation. And I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. That really is a huge thing to go through. If,
Yeah.
and I know other people, even on this island who went through it, just
Uh,
recently, what would you say to them, post this process and where you are in your healing process right now to them or others that have experienced this?
it's like the bridge over troubled waters. You can't just jump and get to the other side. You have to pass it. You have to cross that bridge. And in order to cross it, you have to go through things that we don't want to deal with at all, but you will get to the other side. This too, like you said, that affirmation, this too shall pass. It will. Knowing that you're enough, knowing that you're going to get over it, knowing that this is happening for you, there's something much better on the other side of it. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get to the other side.
Oh, I love that. There's something better on the other side. And that's
Yes.
always that hindsight, right? When you're like 2 to 5 years past something like that, where you look back and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
life is good and life is better
Yeah.
now than it was. There were jewels that came out of the destruction, right?
Yes,
No matter what
exactly.
that destruction looks like.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, like where I put on one of my podcasts, I put undiscovered gems is, you're going through your hidden season. And it's like the one thing about gems, like an emerald, a ruby, or a sapphire, diamond, it's their rarity to locate, right? It's like it's very rare to locate them. And that's what some of us are. I see us as those undiscovered gems. We're not easily found. This could still be our hidden season, but you will be sought after. It's something is coming towards you. We just don't know what it is yet, but trust and I know it's going to get better, and I know it's coming, because right before that fire, I kept seeing 696, and that means like, oh, and so you're getting ready to lose something, but
Oh,
it will be replaced, right? It will be replaced.
wow.
So it's like the angels were already giving me the warning. 696. I was even dreaming about. I was seeing it in my visions, and I'm like, why do I keep seeing 696? And I had to look it up, and then the fire, the fire happened. So it's like, really pay attention to what source is trying to tell you. That's the main advice I can give. If you keep constantly seeing something repeatedly, look it up, figure it out.
And it does give warnings.
Yes.
It gives warnings. It puts things in our path that we're going to need when it happens. It is
Yes.
amazing. We are always supported.
Absolutely. Always. They never leave us. Never. Yeah.
Mm. And for you are an empath, you're highly sensitive. Lots of our listeners are also empaths and highly sensitive people, intuitives, they're awakening.
Yes.
So since you are that empath and you're doing that psychology empath work, what would
Uh-huh.
you tell all of our listeners who are also very wide open, very empathic, very sensitive to like navigate their towers, to navigate their difficulties that they're
It's
experiencing during their awakenings?
it's to get in tune with source. They are the answer to everything. They are going to be able to give you everything you need. I can definitely guide them, obviously, definitely, but it's something that they have to do the work. Faith without works is dead. You have to do that work. If you don't do that work, you are going to stay stagnant. Your life isn't going to go anywhere. If you're like, this'll do. If you are in that state of mind of this'll do, that's how you know you're not moving in faith. You have to be able to move in faith, because when you move in faith, that's when you actually start moving. It's like, I know that this is for me, these are my desires, but even through all these tower moments, all this turmoil, it's like he's still preparing you for the desire that you want. It's like we think of suffering as, why am I doing this? This doesn't make sense. But we suffer with him because we reign with him also. And that's what it's about. So once you get into source, into alignment, you're in tune, that's when all those answers will start coming, and you'll better understand what's going on in your life.
I love that. That's beautiful, Robin. And
Thank
I'm
you.
getting the intuition to ask you if you would like to do a channel or read some of your poetry for us. You have something on hand that you might be able to share with our listeners?
Absolutely.
I would
Absolutely.
love that.
Let me see what I have. Can you still see me?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can do. This is just like throwing me off, because I've never been
Thank you for
asked.
being open to it. I think this is right on point. Your
No
poetry is
problem.
so beautiful. Your spoken word is so beautiful, and it's so encouraging and uplifting. I think that our audience would really love to hear something from you.
Absolutely. just pulled up undiscovered gems because we were just talking about
Oh,
that.
fantastic.
But undiscovered gems. So it says, I know that there are many who feel unseen, unheard, or cast aside, looking at others, thinking that this will never be me. I do all the work, and yet nothing seems to come from it. But just like a diamond, a ruby, a sapphire, an emerald, the list goes on. Its imperfections and its rarity to locate are what lead to its great value, and that's you. Some days you may feel life is too hard, or why do all the bad things only happen to you? But don't fall into victimizing yourself, because it's the light that you carry. You hold the light that shines abundantly, and you should never dim your light for anyone. Things may move slowly, but God chose you. He knows what you carry because it is He who is always with you. But the time it took, it was waiting on you to rediscover you. Others will see what you don't see, but once you see it, once you feel it, you shine differently and your value peeks through. You finally realize all your trials and tribulations were meant to help others. It's your struggles, your storms, and all the fires that you have made it through, the tears that you shed, the pain that you have felt silently. No one knew, and some refused to even see. But God and the universe were right there with you. All those adversities are what will turn these undiscovered gems into being sought after, and others will come and find you.
Oh, I love that, Robin. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I
Thank
love
you.
the part where you said, you're going through it to help others. And that's what you've done is you've
Yes,
taken your adversity and then you've turned it and you're like, okay, now this final stage in my healing process is turning to others and helping them.
absolutely.
That's
Yes.
gold.
This is put me on the spot. That's never happened.
It was fabulous. You did great. Thank you so much for
Thank
answering the
you.
call.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I always ask, I'm going to put you in the hot seat again
Yeah,
before I ask you to tell people how they can get a hold of you. Is
yeah.
to wrap up our conversation, is there a gem that you can share with our audience?
A gym that I have, like,
Yes.
actually, well, the one that I'm wearing, obviously, these are the chakra colors. Obvious, these are all the chakras because I like to be in alignment. Like, I feel naked if I don't have this necklace on because I feel very close with it. You know, we have to cleanse it. Obviously, we have to cleanse and recharge our stones, our crystals. But if I don't have this, I feel out of alignment because it's the energy from these crystals that really help. And it's just so funny that you asked that because one of my clients were like, I don't really think that it works. And I'm like, yeah, you can cleanse it in the moonlight. And they were like, I don't believe it. So it's just neat that you're bringing this up. But I also have a sapphire and an amethyst as well. But the sapphire really, I think, helps me with my communication. So I like
Oh, I
to have
love
the
that.
sapphire at night. It lays next to me at night because I know with this podcast, it's like that throat chakra can get blocked a lot. So it's like I definitely need this sapphire and I use it often. So yes.
Oh, I love that. And the sapphire is blue, and that fish
Yes.
chakra is blue, communication
Yeah,
and voicing our
exactly.
creativity. And you, like, I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning, you finding your voice and just
Yes.
doing it,
Yes.
just starting your podcast and just like fake it till you make it. And you
Yeah.
did it. And it's brilliant. Yeah,
Yes.
it's awesome. Your podcast
Definitely.
is open. I are awesome. I totally recommend everyone go and check out Robin's podcast. It's about healing podcast. So share with people how they can get a hold of you, where they can listen, and how they can work with you.
I am on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. It's Robin Black. It's all about healing podcast, and my podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. And if you like coaching or if you want to come on my show as well, just go to www.it'sallabouthealingpodcast.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Robin. Yeah, check her out. She's awesome, everybody. And listen to her spoken word and poetry on YouTube. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful.
Thank
Robin,
you
thank
so
you
much.
so yeah, thank you so much for joining me. It's been such a pleasure to host you. This has been such a fun, joyful conversation. I've really loved spending this hour with you.
I did too. Likewise. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thanks. And thank you everyone for joining us. Again, I'm Liz Peterson and this is Raise the Vibe with Liz. And you can find me everywhere at Raise the Vibe with Liz. Remember to get out there and raise the vibe. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.